Hello Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're covering basically a couple of subreddits as this story went over two of them. Very spicy stuff. If you love a Reddit story, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. As always, it hugely helps out this channel and I can never express that enough. Without you doing what you do, I wouldn't be here today. And that's all I got to say really. Thank you so much and let's crack on with today's story. Me, 19 female, with my aunt, 40 female. I agreed to do some artwork for her business. I thought we agreed she would pay me. She said she has given me experience. What should I do? I'm worried how this will impact my family. And thank you very much to the person who suggested this over on Discord, by the way. Where to begin on this? I'm currently in a very expensive art school. It's always been my dream to be a paid artist, and I think I'm very good at taking people's ideas and turning them into reality. My parents have been awesome, and they saved up so much money for me to go to school that I only have a small amount of student loans, but any paid work I get is a huge help. My dad has two brothers, both are married. Let's say their wives are Aunt Kay and Aunt Jay. Last year, Aunt Kay asked me to paint a picture of the view of the mountains from her dad's gravesite. I did a very stylized acrylic that I thought turned out excellent. In fact, it's one of my favorite things I've ever done. Aunt Kay actually broke into tears and I was so moved that I tried to refuse payment from her because her appreciation meant so much to me and she isn't wealthy by any means. But in the end she insisted on paying me and paid me far more than any of my artwork is worth. The money was so helpful this past year. So Aunt Jay contacted me at the beginning of the year talking about how impressed she was with Aunt Kay's painting and asking me if I'd be willing to work on some designs for her new real estate business. I 100% remember telling her that I was really busy this semester and that as much as I hated to, I would have to charge her for my time because it would cut into my free time. I also swear on everything I am positive that she said, "Don't worry about anything, I'll pay you." But it came out very nice. Well, she wanted a lot of stuff done. Logos, office painting, a design for a mural in her office, a design for those magnets that go on cars, and some other small things. Things got weird from the start. I did some initial sketches for her to see if we're going down the right path, and she actually got sort of mad at me because I was wasting her time with non-finished products. I told her that's kind of how I work because I don't want to waste expensive materials on ideas that she may not like. I actually have this in text and she said, "My time is just as valuable as your materials, so please don't waste it." I was like, okay. So I spent the next week doing a very elaborate oil painting from which her business logo would be taken. I even UPS shipped it to her. She hated it and got mad at me again for wasting her time. I tried to explain to her this is why I'd like to do sketches so there's no misunderstanding. She agreed this time and I finally came up with things she liked. I'd spent a lot of time on this project already. Not so much that my grades were slipping, but it was costing me time with my friends. So I did final versions of the oil painting for the office. Did what I think is a really cool logo and a really nice mock-up of the office mural. I was out quite a bit of money for the materials and shipping, and it was very stupid of me to not follow up about the payment then. Things got really weird when she accused me of dragging my feet on the car magnet design. I said that what she should do is take the logo to a local graphic design place and they could easily do it. I also told her I thought we had the materials to make them at my school, but I personally didn't. She accused me of not working hard enough for her. I was really taken back and just decided enough was enough and I would stop doing things for her. This is where things get really ugly. She contacted me out of the blue and thanked me for the advice on the magnets. She said now she was ready for me to fly out and paint her office mural. I said that was pretty much impossible as I had classes and a decent mural painter could take my mock-up and make it happen. She said she wanted me to do it. So I talked with my teachers to see if I could take a week off. All were supportive, so I looked up tickets and told Aunt Jay what it would cost to fly me out. She said that she assumed I would pay for it since I'd get to see my family anyways. I said I was really sorry, but I just can't afford it, but maybe if she paid me for the work I'd already done for her, maybe I could see if my parents would split the cost of the ticket with me. She literally exploded on me. I mean exploded. She accused me of showing favoritism to Aunt Kay because I tried to refuse payment for the gravesite painting. She accused me of dragging my feet, and as quote as I can, "I wanted this shit in January, it's almost fucking April." I tried to break in and say that we agreed I'd be paid, and she called me short-sighted and said something like, not a quote, "Do you realize how much doing work for someone like me can mean for someone like you? I'm giving you free advertising because hundreds of people will come in and out of my office every week." She then said she had given me valuable experience that is worth more than any amount of money. I was shocked and I said, actually, her work was pretty easy and I'd done tons of pieces like that when I was in high school. She then said I was insulting her intelligence and hung up on me. That was yesterday afternoon and I'm still in shock. I haven't told my parents, I haven't told my uncle, and I definitely haven't tried to call my aunt back. I'm worried that this is going to cause a big rift in my family, and since she gets to see everyone on at least a weekly basis, she'll get to tell her side of the story. And I'll look like a greedy jerk that expects money from family. The art is a moot point because I can just stop and I can't afford a ticket with my own money, so that will have to go to the wayside, but I'm sorry about the effect on my family. What should I do here? And there's like a mini edit which we're going to cover before the comments, and then there's an update as well. As I said, this went across a couple of subreddits. Edit, this totally blew up. I've been working all day and got to check in once in a while. Sorry I didn't get a chance to reply. I tried to call my parents and tell them, but didn't get an answer, but I'll keep trying. I did get to talk to one of my favorite teachers and she was pissed. She is best friends with our school licenses and legal affairs advisor and set me up with an appointment in the morning to find out what recourse I have. Thank you so much for everyone and the advice. I would love to update, but I have a feeling this might get removed or cross-posted. But if it doesn't, I will absolutely put an update when I'm able. And I had to go off site to get the comments because I can't get the original post to come up, so I had to go and use like a wayback machine of some sort. So, All Star Fart says, you need to tell your side to your family immediately. People tend to believe what they're told first, so you need to get ahead of her. Wells RD Subjects replies that saying, agreed, aunt is crazy and entitled, and she won't hesitate to start smearing your name around the family unless you get out there with the truth first. Copy and print any text you have. You are not likely to get money you are owed from Aunt K, nor are you going to get any business exposure. She would never promote the talented artist who did all that work. She would just take it for granted, and she is too far away to really bring meaningful work to a fledgling artist anyway. Nope, at this point you are defending yourself to your family just in case, and if anyone in the family says you should have done the work for free, point out that she also A, expected you to pay for your own flights, B, expected you to pay for all the materials, and C, had such uncommunicated deadlines that interfered with your schooling. Odds are that Aunt K behaves like a gimme pig a lot, so don't be surprised that a number of family members have similar stories to share with you. And the next time you talk to this horrible woman, tell her that since she has made it clear she is not paying you for your time, product, nor materials, you have to stop work to focus on more important things. Gracelyn Rock says, your auntie is why realtors have a bad name. She's trying to bully you, but use this as a lesson on 1. Always making ground rules clear before taking on a job. 2. Not doing anything for free unless it's volunteer work for a charity, and even then setting limits on how far you're willing to go for them. 3. Avoid working for family. If you do, follow rule 1. Now just refuse to do any more work for your aunt until she pays you for the cost of your materials and time. Tell your parents what's going on, so when auntie goes ballistic, they're prepared. Also tell other members of the family, but in a chatty, totally not bitching auntie out way, so you're setting the narrative within your family. And before we move on to the update, one more from Fraggle DMT, who says, and quotes, my time is just as valuable as your material, so please don't waste it. And then says, I would have pulled the rug right there. That type of shitty comment is also why I never work for family. Your aunt sounds like a piece of work. Tell your family how she's acting, then tell her to go fly a kite, as you don't need to suffer this bullshit. Then get back to concentrating on your schoolwork and friends. From a professional level, the fact she brought up the exposure just pisses me off and means I'd never work for her again. That said, I never work for family for a reason. Everyone expects a deal. Personally, when I used to do design and artwork, I had contracts that demanded a percentage amount up front for services. It also gave me something if the client decided to fuck with me. Now, let's move on to the update to see what happens next. And this next section was titled, my aunt tried to use the you don't need money, I'm giving you experience and exposure for some art I did for business. She got called out. Now her entire scam and life is unraveling, and while I don't get to gloat, I can't help but snicker. That was Monday. First thing Tuesday morning, I had a meeting with my school's licensing and legal advisor, and she helped me draft a letter stating since no legal transfer of ownership had taken place, Aunt Jay was to cease using any of my work immediately. We also wrote up an invoice for my time, materials and shipping up to that point, with a very friendly 15% family discount, and that if Aunt Jay were to work out a payment plan, she could continue using the finished pieces. I emailed them to her. I was very sincerely trying to handle this like an adult and not involve my parents or my uncle, Dad's brother and Aunt Jay's husband, but maybe 1.5 hours after I pressed send on the email, my mum called me. It basically went like this. Mum said, Aunt Jay just called and completely chewed me out over what an ungrateful brat you are. What's going on? I explained the situation to her and apologized because I really was trying to handle it myself. She was apoplectic mad and revealed to me that Aunt Jay had been pulling this kind of bullshit ever since she married my uncle. Mum really wished I would have called when this first started, and she would have advised me to avoid ever doing anything with her. I said I was sorry that I was in so deep, but I felt like I was handling it okay. My mum asked if it was okay if she got involved. I said that was okay. Aunt Jay got a real estate license last fall and had been telling my uncle that she was a lock to be a franchisee, or whatever you call it in real estate, for a nationwide real estate company. I'll just say, random company name. My mum called a local random company name office and asked who she should talk to because one of their agents had commissioned several thousands of dollars worth of professional promotional materials and was refusing to pay. She was put on the phone with whoever is the highest ranking agent in my hometown, who was incredibly confused because all the local offices were under his guidance and they had a promotional materials contract with a local graphic design company. My mum gave him Aunt Jay's name and holy shit. Aunt Jay was using this multi-million-dollar real estate company's name and materials when she wasn't even part of the company. I mean, this is a huge deal and she could literally be facing years of legal trouble, and since real estate licensing is a fairly small world in our state, she is almost certainly going to lose her license if random company name pursues her. I honestly don't know enough about real estate to know how, or even if she was making this work, or if she was just biding her time until the franchise did come through. I have no idea. Maybe her scam wouldn't have been figured out if she just paid me. But it gets even deeper than this. Aunt Jay had just bought a huge new Cadillac Escalade over Christmas, and since she said it was for work, she told my uncle that random company name was helping her finance it. My dad called my uncle, his brother, to let him know what my mum had found as a heads up. My uncle freaked out because obviously if she wasn't part of random company name, then she was getting generous finance in terms from random company name on her new $80,000 car. My uncle ran his credit and it looks like Aunt Jay had taken out 2 new credit cards in his name and maxed them out. He thinks for the down payment on this car. So not only was Aunt Jay screwing me over, she was in a roundabout way stealing using the established name of a multi-million-dollar company. But she committed identity theft against her own husband too, and now she's been exposed because she refused to pay me. My uncle told my dad that he's known that last straw has been coming for a long time, and this was the last log. He's contacting divorce attorneys immediately in hopes he doesn't get taken down in case random company name decides to pursue real legal action against her. He's going to have the lawyers advise him on what to do about the identity theft. Basically, Aunt Jay is screwed in every way imaginable. I've never been one to gloat, and I always take pity on people who are having a hard time. I'm not this time. Relevant comment when asked if she's going to get paid for her work. Sadly, I think the me getting paid ship has sailed, and I think my poor uncle would be paying for it anyways. I'll be happy if he just gets away from her without getting screwed over by all her crap. And we do have another update on this as well. I find it absolutely mad that this is all stemming from not paying someone for their artwork. I mean, glad it's coming out, right? Because she's obviously hiding a lot of stuff with screwing her husband over, another company being involved in using their name, which is absolutely huge. But anyway, let's get on to this next update. So first of all, we have learned that she probably never told anyone other than my uncle that she was working for the nationwide real estate company in question, going to call it random company name, and I'm just doing that so it doesn't accidentally call anyone else's company name as well. It doesn't look like she had any clients, never brokered a single deal. She may have taken a few people around to look at houses, but we aren't even sure about that. It looks like the soon-to-be random company name franchisee thing was just a lie to get my uncle off of their tracks about where this huge influx of cheaply financed money was coming from. She had told him that random company name had financed her new Escalade, and they had helped her rent her office. Since she never actually claimed to be a certified random company name agent in order to defraud people, it doesn't look like the company itself had any legal recourse against her. However, my mum, extreme extrovert opposite of me, who has become fast friends with the most senior agent in my hometown, and he is, or has, not sure, going to report my aunt to the State Board of Real Estate to have her new, as of last fall, license reviewed and probably suspended. Even if it doesn't happen, she is essentially blackballed for ever doing a deal with random company name, and according to the senior agent, something like 45% of home sales in my town happen with random company name agent on either side of the sale. So even if Aunt J doesn't lose her license, she effectively chopped half of her business potential right from the get-go. One thing that absolutely came out of my last r/pro revenge post was that 2 actual random company name agents commented, and it was because of them that I was able to figure out a huge chunk of the puzzle. So the real life version of this company uses a very identifiable form of transportation on their logo, but to keep this anonymous, let's say that random company name uses a boat. When Aunt J was first talking to me about doing work for her, she was oddly adamant that I don't use any boats in any of the work I was going to do for her. I mean, actually forcefully direct instruction was no boats. In my head at the time I was like, I'm not one to paint boats anyway, but point taken. Well, as me and my family now surmise, while she knew she was already fraudulent, she was still trying to walk the line of not getting on random company names radar in any way, shape or form, because she knew they could really screw up her plans if she were to be seen driving an $80,000 Escalade around town with anything resembling random company names boat plastered all over it. But to me it shows she absolutely knew she was up to no good, and I hope this can be used in the divorce. So on to my uncle. I don't know all the ins and outs of how separations and divorces work, but as I understand, he contacted a lawyer Wednesday afternoon and they were working to file some sort of emergency separation motion with the courts as soon as they possibly could, in order to make sure she couldn't do any more financial damages to him. One thing I thought was really cool of my uncle to do that his lawyer did, or is in the process of filing paperwork, so she has to turn over all financial records and declare all assets related to her business. And my uncle specifically asked the lawyer to include the oil painting and logos I already shipped to her. So while I never get paid, at least I may get my work back. The lawyer is also figuring out what to do about the identity theft. One thing that is totally screwed up, and I totally don't understand, is that my uncle has pretty much paid for everything since they've been married, about 5 years, and Aunt J literally committed identity theft against him. He is still the one who has to leave the house, so at least until he can get a place on his own, he's staying with my parents. My dad says my uncle is basically broken over this, that he didn't see it coming and actually bought into the bullcrap about random company name financing a car for someone who didn't even work for them. This makes me feel bad because I brought it all to light, but my dad says my uncle appreciates it because Aunt J could have gotten in much deeper, and she didn't really have a chance to try and cover up fraud with more fraud. So still a lot I don't know, but this is where we are today. My uncle's lawyer doesn't have a timeline for the divorce. I guess it will just depend if stupid Aunt J actually finds a lawyer who will put up a fight, or if she just tries to fade away. We'll see. Thank you for reading, thank you for all the comments the other day, and thank you to the posters who provided a lot of clarity with their knowledge of relationships and the real estate business. Edit, just talked with my mum again. My uncle wasn't forced to leave the house. I guess his lawyer advised him that if he felt he was in any danger, or if he felt there was even a slight chance that Aunt J would accuse him of harming her, it's best he just leave and they'd work out possession of the house later. It's very hard to reconcile that he was either scared of her or scared of her accusing him with a huge 6'3" dad's little brother who used to throw me around in our pool. Growing up sucks. And we're just finishing up with some relevant comments. When asked if the uncle will have to pay for the car, I really hope not, but I honestly don't know. Aunt J hasn't had any income for as long as I've known her, so I don't know how she'll pay for it. What it looks like she did is she took out 2 credit cards and the dealership either allowed her to use them as a down payment or worse, she used them to get a cash advance for the down payment. It looks like the actual car loan is in her name. She has kids from her previous marriage, so he's very lucky that they have none together. I've only met step-cousins a handful of times because they live out of state with their dad, so that should be a total non-issue. I'd be so heartbroken if he had to pay her alimony. It would almost make me question whether there's any fairness in the world at all. And what an absolute wild ride. And as I said in my last comment, that this all came from Aunt not paying her aunt. And yeah, and while it is incredibly sad that this had to come out, it's great that it's come out at this point rather than later down the line when she's got herself in deeper shit. It's incredibly sad that it got to this point, but the silver lining is that Uncle's out of that now, and I hope things do work his way. And for you as well, OP, it sounds like you've been through a hell of a time. Now, what do you guys make of this story? It was an absolute wild one from beginning to end for me. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you do love a Reddit story, don't forget to click the playlist that's on your screen right now. Lots more relationship stories, Am I the Arsehole stories, hundreds of videos there for you to get involved with, and it will scroll through them by itself so you don't have to do any clicking and any of that boring stuff. Thank you so much for your love, support and time, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.